Hi everyone, there has been a best Netrunner card tournament going on in the BGG forums, and that inspired me. Since there's a best card tournament, why isn't there one for the worst? So I browsed through the list of cards from the core set all the way to Double Time, the latest in the spin cycle. And boy, are there a lot of bookmarks cards which you never see play at all. And today I'll be sharing with you what, in my opinion, are the 5 worst Corp cards that have been published to date. Before I reveal to you the 5 worst cards, take a moment for yourself to think of which are the worst cards you think are in the current card pool. I'm sure you can think of many of them. Will your opinions be the same as mine? Let's find out now. In 5th place, we have Marker, a Jinteki Ice from Double Time. Marker is a really useless piece of ice that when spoiled, I just face palm when I read the spoilers. Jinteki desperately needs better ice, and this does nothing to help Jinteki at all. The obvious use is to tag it alongside a piece of ice that has high strength but useless subroutine. Hunter, for example, is quite useless against tag me decks or runners which are willing to clear the tag. But once you tag on and end the run to the Hunter, suddenly it becomes a 4 strength end the run sentry, which is pretty formidable. The problem with that is that Marker is such a weak ice by itself. It's 3 strength code gate. What does this mean? York can break it. Gordian can break it for 2. And it's just so susceptible with only 1 subroutine. If you really wanted to accomplish the end the run shenanigans when coupled with other ice, you'll be way better off using Sensei instead. Sensei has 5 strength and is also a code gate. 5 strength code gates are not fun to deal with, as evidenced from Tollbooth. I know that Marker has a 0 res cost, but for a 3 strength code gate with such a mediocre subroutine, it makes it to my list of the top 5 worst cards in Netrunner. In 4th place, we have Z 1.0 from Creation and Control. It's a HB Ice Bioroid. We all know why combos are bad. In Netrunner, card draw is a premium, and setting up a combo takes ages and is very luck reliant. Z is essentially a combo card. It requires you to place it as one of the innermost pieces of ice in a server, and then couple it with other Bioroids on top. With Z as the innermost piece of ice on the server, your server is very, very vulnerable until you manage to draw up further ice to ice it up. And furthermore, a careful runner will not click through the first few pieces of ice and continue the run to face against what may be an even more devastating piece of ice, like an Ichi, like a Heimdall, or even a Janus. So that alone makes Z a horrible piece of ice. Can you think of any strategies where a Corp would want to include a Z in their deck? The only strategy I can think of is a Whirlpool into a Howler that raises a Janus into a Z, which would more or less guarantee the runner to be brain fried at the end of it all. But the chances of pulling that off is so slim, and you'll be better off splashing for something else, like a Neuro Katana instead, which does even more damage and actually doesn't suck, you know? So Z is just way too mediocre, both by itself and even when coupled with other Bioroid ice. Good runners will never ever get hit by a Z. So you can never justify its use in a deck. You'll be much better off putting in other pieces of ice. The very fact that it's already a very questionable choice even in the most useful application of a Z 1.0 is the reason why it is number 4 on my worst Netrunner cards list. In number 3, we have Levi University from Creation and Control. It's a neutral asset that is basically an ice tutor. Hey, it's a tutor. How can it possibly be bad? Well, look at how many decks have played it. I have not seen a single deck run Levi University. 2 reasons. Firstly, to summon the first piece of ice, you need to pay 4 credits, 3 to rest the asset, and 1 more, and a click to draw the piece of ice into your hand. Secondly, it trashes for 1. So you need to protect it in the first place. And how do you protect it? You use ice. See the quandary there? You need ice to protect your Levi University, but your Levi University draws you the ice that you need. Finally, even if you do draw that crucial piece of ice you need, whatever it is, that enables whatever combo you might need, the runner knows it, because Levi University requires you to reveal the ice to your opponent. Ice is mostly meant to be kept secret, because most of the effects are devastating only when the runner is caught unaware of it. By revealing your secrets to the runner, you have just busted your strategy. The only niche case where I can see Levi University being used is to tutor the likes of a Curtain Wall or a Hadrian's Wall to be oversighted AI in a Wayland big ice deck. Even that is very questionable. Why not just include more card draw? Why are you giving up your early game advantage by spending clicks to summon your ice? This is the reason why Levi University is rated number 3. In number 2, we have Net Police, NBN asset from A Study in Static. It's really unfortunate because when you think about it, this is the only card that punishes the runner for having Link. The trouble is, just like IRS of Wayland, it doesn't actually punish the runner. It simply mitigates the fact that they have extra Link. And more importantly, it doesn't give enough for the cost. You need to draw Net Police, you need to install it, and then you need to pay 1 to res it. And all this effort is gone to waste when the runner runs and trashes your Net Police for 1. Worst of all, nowadays, you don't see any good decks run more than 1 Link, 1 being the base Link for most runners. The truth is, Link is not very valuable nowadays. Even against Trace Heavy NBN, you'd rather accrue an economic advantage as opposed to working on your Link, which is very situational against certain matchups. So all in all, the unviability of Net Police all around leaves it as the worst card in the Netrunner card pool. Second only to this champion of champions, the worst card in Netrunner history. I think you know what it is. It is none other than our favorite Wayland advanceable ice, Salvage. Seriously, its name is so ironic. This piece of ice simply can't be salvaged at all, save for perhaps an operation that reads, place 10 advancement tokens on a piece of ice. That is the amount of help it needs to even become remotely viable. Now, why is Salvage so bad? Well, I don't know where to start, honestly. Alright. Salvage is a 0-strength code gate. What more do you want me to say? This means that it can be easily parasited down. It is free to break with York, and it's just terrible. Secondly, it can only be advanced when rest. So when the runner encounters it, it does nothing. Salvage does nothing at all. You have to wait for your next turn to start advancing Salvage. And when you advance it, what does it do? It traces the runner for 2. A measly 2 trace. Any runner with even a single Link can just pay to get through all the subroutines, no matter how many times it advances Salvage. And any runner with 2 Link or more will simply render Salvage completely obsolete. Finally, even if you assume that you get lots of tokens on Salvage, even if the runner has 0 Link, even if they don't have a code gate breaker out, what does it do? It gives the runner a tag. That's it. What? That's that's so weak. I mean, even Shadow could do a better job of that. Oh man, just reading this card makes me so sick. And by the way, even if you get 10 advancement tokens on it, York still breaks it for 0. So there is really no reason to run Salvage at all, even if you're playing because we built it, the recurring credit Wayland. Conversely, if you are playing a fun game with your friends where you build terrible decks for your opponents and then play each other with each other's decks, Salvage is an auto-include ×3 in any Corp deck. That's how bad it is. And is indisputably the champion of champions when it comes to the worst card ever printed in Netrunner history. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time for the runner version of worst cards ever.